person still there, live on Capitol Hill, is Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, who has just raced to our camera after casting a vote on this continuing resolution. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. Did you vote for the CR?
I did vote. Yes, I did. I voted to move forward. I have never voted that would cause us to go into a shutdown. I think it's a misery march. It's not the way we should be doing it. We did appropriations. I'm on Appropriations Committee. Senator Schumer refused to put those bills up, but at least we're continued until December, and that, I think, is a sigh of relief for a lot of people.
Senator Warner talked about a fulsome debate when Congress returns after the election. Of course, we don't know, the outcome of the November election. But what do you expect to be sort of on the agenda? What will you be pushing for to get funded in this lame duck?
Well, I'm the ranking member of the Health, Education, and Labor Subcommittee. Very large funding mechanism, funds all of our research, education, and labor. I'm anxious to get our research, our health research, to find cures and to find treatments, to keep that in the flow. So that's something I'm going to be looking at. But I really think what I'd love for Senator Schumer to do is to put these bills up individually so that we can amend them, so that we can have a full discussion on them, and then vote. That's what we're supposed to do. We could have been doing this all along, and we didn't. And so we are going to have some time. The bills passed almost unanimously out of our subcommittees or out of our committee, bipartisan. It's time for us to debate on the Senate floor, and I hope that's what we do. I'm also going to be looking for the defense authorization bill, which should be coming through. We've already had a discussion on that, but we need to get to the conference committee there so we can set the course of our military. And it sure would be great if we could get a farm bill. We've had a drought in West Virginia that's been very costly and damaging to our farmers.
Well, certainly, and we hope you'll come back and join us in the lame duck session to see whether or not those priorities can actually get through before the new Congress is seated in January. Senator, I'd like to ask you about something more immediate, though, as well, considering while there is a continuing resolution vote happening today on Capitol Hill, a lot of members will leave after that, and senators will as well. But tomorrow, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be on the Hill. I don't know, Senator, if you're planning to meet with him. I know others are, and this comes at a time when some of your Republican colleagues have been criticizing President Zelensky for visiting a plant helping make weapons for Ukraine in Pennsylvania during this trip to the United States. Does he deserve that criticism?
Well, I think, you know what, President Zelensky has been on Capitol Hill several times. I will not be there tomorrow, but I've been very much a supporter of Ukraine in the fight against Russia. I believe that pushing Russia back is the right thing and the timely thing, and in the end, the least expensive thing to do, because they'll be encroaching into other countries if they are successful in Ukraine. I do believe some of the rhetoric that I saw President Zelensky enter into yesterday concerning President Trump and Senator Vance as candidates was probably very misplaced, and he may regret this when he hears tomorrow. I think he's better off making a case for why his country is in desperate need of a United States coming forward with the help that we have.
Switching for a minute to the presidential campaign, we've heard a lot in these last few days from both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump in terms of their economic plan. Tariffs have been, top of that list, and certainly something we've been tracking here at Bloomberg. Have tariffs been good for West Virginia?
In certain industries, yes. Our steel industry, our aluminum industry, our hardwood industry, we've needed to have a balancing of a free and fair trade. And we've had product dumped in the United States that's cost many, many, many jobs, but also cost our United States economy. We need to make things here. And so for those products where we are heavily disadvantaged, such as the ones I mentioned, I do think tariffs are particularly effective. I don't think general tariffs over everything is an effective way to go about moving the economy forward. But I do think in certain targeted areas, tariffs can be very useful, but only in those instances.
Well, Senator, if we couple those notions on tariff policy with some of the other proposals that Donald Trump has put forward on tax policy, many of the economists we speak with here on Bloomberg suggest what we're really talking about are policies that are going to fuel inflation and raise the deficit. Are you concerned about that when you look at the economy in West Virginia and compare it to the national economy, knowing the battle that has been fought over the course of the last several years against inflation, that could be the end result?
Well, look, we're living in inflation right now. You go to the grocery store, you're paying 30% more for bread, 33% more for ground beef. Your rent has gone up. Your mortgage rates have gone up. Gasoline is up. Power costs are up. We know what inflation looks like, and we know how painful it is for individuals in our state, but across the country. So any inflationary action is I think, would be extremely damaging. But I will say this. Vice President Harris has said she's going to raise our taxes into the $6 trillion range. That, in my view, is very damaging to the economy. So I think that under President Trump's former administration, we did tax relief, we grew jobs, we had some of the highest income wage growth that we'd seen in years. I look forward to those kinds of policies to lift all of us and lift everyone, and particularly in my state.
Senator, you have been a champion for education and quality of life for girls in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is very much in focus this week as the United Nations General Assembly meets. And I'm wondering, what measures do you think the President of the United States should take or Congress to address the education of girls in Afghanistan? Is that something that could potentially come up as part of the annual defense bill, which you mentioned coming up in the lame duck session?
Well, I think it's chilling what we see coming out of Afghanistan. In 2021, Vice President Harris was self-proclaimed by the New York Times to be the one who's going to be the protector of the rights of girls and women in Afghanistan. What do we see just this week? More enforcement, more ratcheting down of the ability for women to live free and clear. They can't go to school, they can't work, they can't look at men that are not their husbands, they have to be fully clothed, fully covered. They have to have, they're not allowed to laugh out loud or even talk loudly. So, and they're enforcing this. So this is a horrible regime. A young Afghani girl says, if we can't talk, why can we live? How can we live? And so I think the United States president, working with Mrs. Bush, Laura Bush, was very active in rights for Afghani women and girls, engage the international community like she has, and put pressure on them to free women from this oppression that we see. Our abrupt withdrawal from Afghanistan is part of the reason, and it's like this. They don't think we will engage, but we can engage in the international community on the horrors that we see there.
All right, Senator, we appreciate your time this evening, especially running over right after your vote. Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, thank you so much.
Always great to be on.
Now coming up.